everyone, Otsukibi here. This is the Knowhere market update for Wednesday. Glad that you could join me. Got some introduction, got some preliminaries as usual. This is going to be more of just basic charts, no theme for today, really. I need to catch up on a lot of stuff, both in real life and in the charts. If you're unfamiliar with what has happened, I get a water leak at home, other issues at play. There was a point where I didn't even have water for pretty much almost 4 days. So very interesting back and forth thing. I almost just said screw it and got a hotel for the past couple days of my family, but logistically it's really complicated. So I apologize for my absence this week, but priorities and other things do take place when stuff like this happens. So that's pretty much the introduction. There's nothing really new to that. I gotta take off tomorrow as well to kind of fix and finish, to kind of finish the rest of the water problems. I got plumber coming over, things like that. So tomorrow I won't be around too much. But so that's pretty much the introduction as far as that goes. I haven't really seen the charts at all really this entire week. I've looked at a couple. I've been focusing mainly on Bitcoin and Solana. Those were the two that I was interested in the most, and those are the two that have went pretty high relative to other ones. So that's all in good hands. The biggest day I missed was Monday, and by far that was the most frustrating day because that was when everything was still fresh here at home, but the markets were just on fire. Okay, and I was already set. I already had spot in Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum, and a lot of other coins. So I did okay. I did good. I think I probably did better than most people because I was prepared for that, and that's why I say, like, I have a lot of these videos that tell you need to be prepared. Don't focus on what's going on the day because there's always going to be something happening that day. There's always going to be markets going up, down, chop, whatever. You're going to get tired. That's the biggest thing that's going to be problematic. You're going to be tired. It's going to go day in, day out. And then especially if you might have a family, like what's my natural response supposed to be? Am I supposed to be, "Oh, sorry, wife, kids, responsibilities. I need to go to the charts today." You can do that once or twice or maybe a handful of times, but if you do that repetitively, that's a recipe for disaster. Okay? And I've been there, I've done that, I've wrestled with that. I've seen people go far extreme into that, and I've heard some very bad stories because of that because after a while you lose focus on your family, you lose focus on your priorities. I've seen people lose their basically in real life status because they focus too much on the charts. And there is a certain point where it is more about money. Like I don't care if you're making $1 million. If you're making $1 million in 30 days, that's way different than staring at the charts for 2, 3, 5, 7 years and not making the money or struggling or whatever. There's a point where, especially if you're a father or you're a parent, you look at your your son or your daughter, your baby, whatever, and you turn around and they're like a teenager, because you didn't focus on that time. So there's priorities at play. There's things that you wrestle with that are at play. So I digress from that because not everybody is a parent or a spouse, and I understand that. So that's fine. So that's pretty much the introduction. Going to go into Bitcoin. I think I might cover Bitcoin dominance. I might also cover some stocks. We'll see how that goes, see how I feel like here in a couple minutes, and going forward with that. Some preliminaries. So this is a Knowhere market update. So I tend to focus a little more on my Knowhere group, which is my Discord group. If you're not in the Knowhere group, I would recommend that you do so because it's a good free resource. I post a lot of charts, trades, obviously. Post videos. I do market updates generally about once a day, and that's usually for about 5 to 10 minute videos every day from Sunday through Thursday. I tend to take a break during the weekends. I might modify that. We'll see how that goes. People have tended to like that format, about 5 to 7 minutes, sometimes 10. I think yesterday's was 11 actually. So that's kind of the gist of that. All of that is free. I do plan to have a premium version for maybe 20, 25 bucks a month. That's going to incorporate more things, more access to me, some other stuff as well. And then I've also got the Arune Pro bots, which right now is free. I currently have a free feed in the Knowhere Discord group, completely free, but it's one channel and it's just a continuous feed of different time frames, different coins, different setups. Now that is a little confusing. I know. I've gotten feedback about that. And I am modifying that. What I did was I tried to just get a feed going first, have that for testing. That's completely free. I'm going to have multiple channels with multiple frames, coins, and strategies. That is going to be a paid thing, and I'm not sure how much that will be offhand. Probably the same as Nowhere Premium, and that's going to be multiple, time frames, things like that. But I will have a free version available. So that's the thing. If you guys don't want to pay, I do have free options available as well. Some of them are just join Discord. That's it. Some of them are going to be ref links. Some of them are going to be paid services, and that's one of the reasons I do the ref links is because I do have to gatekeep because there are a lot of bots. Like I just discovered yesterday that there are members that don't have access to be inviting people all of a sudden can invite people, and I have a small bot problem working on that. Seems like it's not a huge deal. Nothing's been exploited, but that's where that becomes the thing. When you start building products like this, you start to get issues like that. And so that's completely fine. That's just how it works sometimes, but that's also why I need to do my due diligence, okay? And some of these things I've worked on for the past 4 to 5 years, so yes, I do think I see nothing wrong with trying to get some sort of small compensation for that. I did the work, you are going to benefit, asking for a little bit in return, that's it. And that detracts the people that just want to take something and leave versus someone that actually wants to value something that I provide. So that's the preliminaries. The only other thing is Apex Academy. That's a big thing. That's my master class. That's the one that's, last year it was about $500 for 3 months. I was working on some modifications for that for this year. I almost had that ready to go. However, I might have to take a break on that. I might have to either postpone that until November 1st or just postpone it altogether until January 1st. So we'll see where that goes. We have Christmas coming up, we have the holidays, and I know some of you guys don't celebrate Christmas. That's fine. Holidays are a very important time for me, and I know a lot of other people can't always be around in the last 2 weeks of the year. And so that tends to be the case from what I've noticed. And again, if that's not you, that's completely fine. We need to respect the people that can't. And therefore, so for last year, I think about half the people really didn't attend as much. And so I kind of want to avoid that this year. On top of that, I want to make sure I get the resources compiled, ready to go, professional, things like that. So I think with all of this, with my water leak, everything like that, I think I'm going to have to postpone probably to at least November 1st or till I mean December. I meant December 1st when I said November, till December 1st or January 1st. It just depends on how that works. So I apologize if you were looking forward to that. I do think that's overall. I don't want to say that, but I do think it will be better to do that. It'll be much higher quality, more concentration, things like that. So I hope you're okay with that. And then I'm also gonna probably do some more marketing stuff with that. And if that's something that you wanted, I do have the last year's 2002 resources for Apex Academy on sale. So you can buy those. It's like 15 hours worth of video content that you could buy. And then you purchase that, you get a form, and then it gives you all the links to all my videos. So that's what that is. So anyway, that's pretty much the preliminaries. I'm just gonna get right started. I'm on limited time as well. I got about an hour to do this and get this uploaded. So we'll just get started and we'll start with Bitcoin. All right, daily Bitcoin here. We had the pump up on Monday, followed by pretty much a choppy day yesterday, kind of a bearish chop, so to speak. I mentioned in Knowhere Discord that this is pretty much what I was imagining on the low time frame, like 4 hour time frames and lower. I'm kind of expecting that we'll get a reaccumulation period. I think that's what we need to be looking for, and I mentioned that how that would work, but basically this is the range that I'm looking at. And so this is actually like a top of this. That's why I mentioned that. So um, my concern right here is looking for a reaccumulation pattern. And so far we're getting it. One of the reasons that we were looking at it is because we had a hidden divergence there, and so that's kind of playing out as such. So another thing is I'm also waiting for kind of this line on the RSI to break above. So anyway, this tends when you get a formation like this, and so a lot of people make fun of hidden divergences in general. And so the reason why people do is because they just don't understand it, honestly. And the divergence basically just means that we're going to get a chop. That's basically it. The problem with divergences in general, actually, the best thing about divergences in general is that it tends to tell us where the market's going to go. But the problem with hidden divergences is because the market doesn't generally tell us where to go. And so hidden divergences do the opposite of what we expect divergences to do. And so that's why we get confused about them. That's why they're called hidden, the other things like that. So, um, and again, I think there is some benefit to hidden divergences. Anyway, so we have this structure right here. I think that basically a play of the break of this is the best way to go. You guys know that by now, that I tend to play the break of the ranges. And so something like this right here, with as your entry and your stop below that, maybe even below here, depending on how this works. I would say if we break above that, this is probably fine though. And so you could target, as high as you want with this. I do think if we can kind of break um, upwards to the 30,000, that we could contest a little bit more. And I need to zoom out more to kind of tell you what I'm saying, because you have this structure. So that's kind of like your liquidity, your higher time frame liquidity structure, maybe your 3 day that I've zoomed in. So if we push above this, then we're kind of probably pushing for the middle, which is about 31,000. So I have a suspicion that we could hit 31,000 by next week. And that's kind of what I'm looking at. I am looking, my default right now is reaccumulation unless I get something below this. Unless we go below here, below 28,000, and we hold, probably more so here 27.7, because of this, because of this small consolidation period. Excuse me. I I want to lean towards bullish price action. I've always leaned towards it. We can look at trends, subtrends, we can look at all that stuff, but overall, continuation still kind of seems the most likely scenario. Another thing that we can see is we have kind of a trend line coming up here. We kind of had to fade from this, so it's also possible that if we push up, we could maybe target maybe this section right here over here. So about 29.3 to 29.5, close to 30,000. So that's kind of what I see with Bitcoin. A little complex, but overall, still looks pretty solid. Nothing really, much else to say. I think this no divergence or anything here. We This price action has been quite confusing for a lot of people, and again, a lot of that has to do with the fact that people are just way too bearish. They're bearish because of they have a bearish mindset. They have this is bearish PTSD coming to fruition. And that is something that I struggled with in 2018 and 2019. That is not something I'm going to struggle with now. Okay. And so a lot of people have the issue where, oh, things have been bearish for so long. Like when you get bad things happen for so long, you expect these things bad. You expect bad things to happen. So you got to break that mentality. Things have been bullish all year. I mean, just look at this chart. I mean, things look great. Um, I mean, what is it? We started the year in the 16,000s, and now we're pushing for the third time towards 30,000. And you are bearish on this, and the thing is like if you are on CT, which I'm becoming less and less on CT, The bearish people are the people that are the loudest. They post the big memes and all that bull crap with the pictures to get you narratively involved. Okay? You just got to get out of that. You just have to because it's doing more harm for you than good. So the market's been looking great. It's been looking great all year. It's not the biggest bull trap you've ever seen. It's just starting, in my opinion. So the market looks really good. I think I'll cover the Bitcoin dominance just for a second to give a small theory. Then we'll go into some of the charts. I want to cover Ethereum, Solana, and maybe XRP and Doge. I think I'm going to kind of avoid the other ones for now. Maybe I'll do a thread on them on Twitter. Maybe a couple other ones, but we'll just keep going with this. All right, so this is the Bitcoin dominance chart. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I'm probably going to speed up the rest of the video as well because I got some time constraints. But overall, from August, September, that kind of area, we had a consolidation going upwards. I've mentioned that before in other videos. When we get a consolidation like this, when it rides the trend, it actually goes up. It does not go down, and that's kind of what we had. This red trend line here going the other way is very interesting, and I kind of want to focus on that. That's the main reason I wanted to even mention this, is because this is the trend line that is pretty much historic for the entire dominance chart. And so here, we had a push from March 17th going downwards. We also had this one. This looks like it went above, but if you zoom in, it touched right, that's where it stopped. That's where the wicks were. And that was about January in 2021. So we got, February, March 17, January 21, and now we got a third one. Now this has broken through it. And so with this, you can see that these are very interesting points. I need to kind of, I changed it actually. There we go. I'm from logarithmic. So very interesting chart analysis. What I think here is that if we go back below, I think that we could get maybe like a minor alt season. And that, as you guys probably know, this is already set, so I don't know why that's still there, but this was the beginning of the road to 20,000. This was also on the road to all-time highs shortly afterwards. So my thought process, honestly, is very short, sweet. That a retrace of this would cause an alt season, cause a Bitcoin rally, and would go to new all-time highs. I'm not saying that's going to happen right away within the next week or two. As you guys know, this happened in February. We didn't get the all-time high till December, and so that takes some time. This one also took some time as well. So I'm not saying it's going to happen right away, but I do think it could happen. And just another idea that we are on the path to better opportunities, in my opinion. Like just look at the, like, I understand things look bad, economy, whatever, right? But like look at the past 5 years, and you mean to tell me that from the price standpoint things are going to get worse before they get better? Like things have already been better. So like if you go to, I mean, shoot, let's just kind of go here. We'll kind of play this out, right? So from, just this year alone, we're already up 71%. We were up as high as 90% at one point, even, 91. But we are currently up 72%, right? And so that's just something to keep in mind. For the S&P 500, where were we for pretty much the beginning of this year? I mean, we're up 12% for the year, which is pretty decent for the S&P 500. So nothing here is really telling me that we should be bearish. Like things have not been bearish. And I still don't understand it, because after almost a full year of upward price action, we are still thinking that things are going to go down. No, it's because you didn't take your opportunity that you had. You had 2 to 3 to 5 opportunities possibly to take advantage of something you didn't want to, because you're looking at the day to day instead of looking at the week to week. Okay, you're trying to buy after something has happened. Okay, this year is not a good year for that. This year is a year to buy and hold, and that's what I've been saying in my observations videos. That's what I've been saying in the Discord. That this year is a year to buy and hold. The time to swing trade and to scalp trade is when liquidity comes into the market, which liquidity has not came into the market just yet. We need to generate that liquidity. So yes, that's where the misinterpretation comes into play for some of you, because some of you interpret a lack of liquidity as downward price action, and that is not true. That does not tend to happen as much as you think it does. So Anyway, the market's been pretty good so far. And so I think having a long-term bearish mentality is very weird at this point. Honestly, it's very very strange. It made more sense at 20,000, honestly, although I didn't agree with that either. But at least understood that perspective. Now, it just makes almost no sense now, especially after this, you know, retest right here on the weekly. So, all right, going to Ethereum, going to Solana. We'll keep going with this, and yeah, just keep going with it. All right, going on to Ethereum. Had to take a small break. For the weekly so far, weekly isn't really looking the best, but it's still kind of in the bullish area again. We're kind of in the midweek, so it's kind of hard to make my analysis as I normally do with observations. So I think I'll just move on from there. But overall, it's holding that zone that I was looking at from last time. All right, moving on to the daily. We still have a little bit of a struggle here. It doesn't really look the best overall because we had this pump up that was pretty good from Monday, had the deviation back below. Now I'm kind of looking for another, honestly, another retest of 1530. And that's not something that really is a good thing overall. You really don't want to retest the lows at this particular stage. What we could see almost is, I'm drawing kind of a trend line here, so we could maybe see a drop down to about the 1550s, kind of a bounce up, and then like a triple touch on this trend line. So we'll see how that goes. Overall, you do have kind of a higher set of lows on the RSI, so that's possible. So I'm not trying to force any kind of bullish momentum here, but it's also one of my rules that if until things actually get bearish, you should not interpret this as bearish. And so that's a big problem that people have that you need it no matter how bad things look, if things are still technically bullish, then they need to be viewed as bullish, even if they look bad. If they do look bad and you're concerned, then you make those contingencies. Okay, you don't put yourself out there to be exposed uncomfortably for something that you could have prepared for. So anyway, that's what I see there. You do have a failure of the RSI so far. Bullish consolidation on the A-rune. So things don't look terrible, but things don't really look great either. Again, and so this is your break above, deviation below. You had your retest even, so it's very possible that we could visit the 1540, 1550 range. But we do have this structure here that looks pretty solid here at 1555, so with only 5 to 10 bucks above that, but still that could be your retest point. We are under contention here on the RSI. So that's Ethereum in a nutshell. Let's go to Solana and just continue the video. All right, on to Solana. I discussed this on Twitter earlier today. The weekly looks like so. The weekly is breaking above this continuation pattern that we were breaking through. We have a hold of the RSI 50. We have a bullish wedge in play. This looks really good. I've mentioned this for a month now, if not more, how good I think Solana is for the bull run. I've packed my bags. I mentioned that before the run up that we had, looking pretty good. I did this before we hit above 20. So I mentioned this before. It's another position that, yeah. Again, I'm not telling people that, like when I say I'm buying something, that I'm not saying that I'm correct, or I'm not saying that you should buy. I'm not necessarily saying anything, okay? But when I start to buy, and then you get the hate that I get for just like, why am I getting hate for just saying that I'm buying a coin? It doesn't make sense. Like I got that for a Bitcoin. Like, why does it bother people so bad that I buy at 16,000? Okay, so I could rub that in somebody's face for the rest of my life, but I don't. The point is, I see something, I see it for a reason. I could be right, could be wrong, it doesn't matter. But I'm looking at this now, and I'm looking at people crying because they didn't get in short, at 16,000. That is why they are bearish today, because they want 16,000 now, and they had a chance that they didn't get it. And the inverse could be true as well. Like that's why. Well, one reason why I am bullish is because I'm comfortable in my longs. I'm very, very, very comfortable right now, and that's just how it is. But that's not necessarily how I see it, however, because that's the reason I bought in the first place, is because things looked good. So I'm not in denial of anything. I'm not trying to protect my positions. The market would have to significantly crash for me to be uncomfortable, and so I'm not too concerned about that. So, but what I see here with Solana is this has looked good for some time on the weekly. I think Solana has one of the best chances of all the coins to go back up to above to its all-time high. and I've said that for quite a ways away now. I said that sub 20 is practically a steal. You go from current price action to now, you're at about 960% of a move. So you have almost a 10x there. Excuse me. So let's say you just do a 9x. That's still pretty good. 9x is pretty good considering what you would be able to get out of this. And before, you know, I think earlier, like when I did it, it was about 12. I remember 12 being a thing. So now it's 9. So it went from 12x to a 9x, which is still pretty good, but that number is shrinking. Okay, and that's what I say. Like you have an opportunity now. This is a top. I think it's a top 10 coin. I actually don't know. Let me check that really quick while I talk. It is a top coin that should be, you know, let's see here. It's top 8. So it's a top 8 coin. So other than stable coins, you got Bitcoin number 1, Ethereum number 2, BNB 4, XRP 5. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. Lido staked Ether, and then Solana. So one, two, three, four, five, six. So it's number 6 as far it's ranked number 6 as far as non-stable coins. I'm willing to believe that it's going to be a top 3 coin. I do think so. And so if anybody has a chance to be number 3, it's going to be Solana. And I don't necessarily think Ethereum. I mean, Ethereum will probably be number 2, but there's a chance that it could flip Ethereum. It just depends. Solana, will say that Solana does need to step up if that would be the case. Okay, I'm not gonna say something stupid like it's just gonna flip, but Solana's holding up pretty well compared to Ethereum. Somebody said the Solana Ethereum chart looks pretty good. Let me check that out really quick. I don't know how to spell today, so and so I guess take it for what it is. This is what it looks like. It looks pretty decent on here. Overall, it doesn't look too bad, but not as good as I was expecting considering the hype. So it's one of those things. Solana is a top coin. It was a top coin last time. It has the ability to increase its infrastructure. It's got everything ready to go. It's a familiar coin that everybody has. And there's this idea that in order to make a lot of money in a cycle, you need to buy this obscure coin as early as freaking possible, and that's why small caps are attractive. But the problem is most of your wins, like most of the good ones that you've heard about, you have a good amount of opportunity to buy them. Okay, so some of the coins that can give you 10, 20x are right in front of your face. And let's stop pretending that 10x is bad, okay? Let's stop pretending that 10x is bad, right? Because let's just say you got $10,000 to work with, right? So you got a 10x from that plus your original 10 is 110,000, right? And you do that again, you're at 1.2 million dollars. So 100x total takes you from 10 grand to 1.2 million. Okay. So all and there's a lot of problems with that. I understand that how it's divided up, things like that. But the problem is a lot of you guys divide this up, and you try to divide and conquer, and that doesn't work that way typically. So you have a 10x that works, right? So you have that. Well, now you have 90x to go, right? So it's as simple as that. So you're 10% of the way there. What kind of messed up world do you live in? And I'm sorry to say, but I'm just going to get more based with this. Like, what kind of messed up world do you live in where you don't believe 10x is enough? Okay, when you have people struggling with food, um, struggling for their lives, struggling for their daily routines, like things like that. So I would say just take your win, honestly. Like a coin like Solana is right in front of your face. It's always been in front of your face. It has a very good chance to get a minimum of 10x to get to the all-time high. And who's to say that it's going to stop there, right? Like What if it goes like twice? What if it goes to like 500? I'm not saying it will, but you know what I mean, right? So this is a really good opportunity to get a solid 9, 10x. It's right in front of your face. And it's an easy 9 to 10x if this goes back up to all time high. So I'll digress from that, but let's stop pretending that that's a bad deal. Like, let's just get over ourselves and stop focusing on small cap coins. Yes, you can get 100x on small cap coins, and you, I definitely encourage people to actually look into small caps carefully. Um, I'm not saying to buy anything. It's not financial advice, but don't necessarily neglect small caps, but understand like there's a significant risk with small caps right now. Like it's you're gambling. Okay, so I don't encourage gambling. Okay, so it's not as easy as you might think. So anyway, digress from that from the daily perspective. Um, we can see that we had the break above here. Now we're kind of we're kind of consolidating a little bit. We probably are going to go down just a little bit. We have the bearish consolidation, which is very much different than the Bitcoin one. It's wider in that sense, but overall, I'm looking for this to stay above, and so we did kind of you know stop right there. We have kind of like a resistance zone. Let me zoom into the 4 hour to kind of get a different perspective. So this is kind of what I see. Let me try to um, move that up there like so. That looks a little bit better for me. So now we're kind of in this zone, and as you can see right here with all this chicken scratch, like Solana is a very zone oriented coin, and so that makes it easier to work with. So if you are interested in buying Solana, there's a good chance that we're going to hit 22.7. I mentioned that in Knowhere yesterday, that could be a good buying opportunity. Probably going to be where the RSI sits on the 50 as well. We have a big confluence point here with Aaron, where typically this results into the lowest trend, which is the bearish trend, to form. So that could end up going downwards. So another thing to consider, if you want to wait and to play it safe, I would just wait for a break of 24.5 and kind of take the easy way out for that one, and that's completely fine. So overall, looks pretty good. I think we will get. I do think the top for the week has been made. There's no deviations. I think I'm gonna cut the video here because I got my time is running out. But no deviations. Nothing looks really bad. Nothing looks like it needs to be faded. Everything looks pretty good. It's one of those things again. The time to buy was not Monday. Okay, the time to buy was last week, but people were too focused on being bearish. Okay, when you have something like this, this was your fake move. This was your fake news candle, right? But look at all this. You had a rounded bottom here. You had a build up to that. This was your time to buy. Okay, let me look on my apex. Okay, the time to buy was here. Okay, that was about 12 hours before the pump. And so this is one reason why I teach my apex stuff. And if you're interested in this, this is where I do offer this as a bot service. Okay, if you take away the pump fake wick, you would have made 6R. Okay, and you still would have made even more. You would have made 9, even 10, depending on where you went with that, right? Even if you didn't cut your trade, which you probably should have, you're still looking at 8. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. And so it's one of these things you need to be mindful when you buy. The time to buy is not when something happens. This is not a good year to um, buy green. Okay, you should buy strength, yes, and that's the problem. A lot of people think that buying green means buying strength, and that is completely false. They're not the same thing. They can be the same thing, but doesn't mean they will. So anyway, that's the video. I need to cut it short. I had a busy week. I think I've already been run out of time, but I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think, and yeah, I'll see you next time.